Okay. Good evening, all. Welcome to the town board meeting, August 8, 2022.
$24,409.28. SW1 water voucher numbers 532 to 539, $5,853.76. SW2 water voucher number 540, $25.
I'll make a motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 129 of 2022, resolution to accept the town board meeting minutes of July 25th agenda meeting as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 130 of 2022, resolution to authorize distribution of unused joint youth committee funds. Resolved that as the Joint Youth Commission is no longer operative, the town board, with the consent of the town boards of the towns of Day and Hadley, authorizes the distribution of the remaining fund balance in appropriation to each town's contribution reflected in the following amounts. 11 for the town of Day, it's going to be $1,127.91. The town of Hadley is $10,035.23. The town of Hadley is $7,905.52.
I think you read them backwards. My sheet says Hadley, $10,033.45.
Okay. That was changed. I'm sorry.
Was
You guys
it-
got
I was
an
gonna
email.
say when she finished, I just get, yeah,
They got
it was
now.
called in at 3:52 tonight. It's $3.80 off. So we calculated all those numbers and what she read here is the right
Should we
amount.
read the original?
Yeah. Lori, can you read those again?
Yes.
The amounts?
Okay, the town of Day will be $1,127.91.
Yep.
Yep.
The town of Hadley will be $10,000 or $10,035.23. The town of Lake Luzerne will be $7,905.52.
Thank you.
And that came in at almost 4 o'clock tonight. So I apologize for not saying.
That was a $3 and some cents.
58 cents or so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Are we having public discussion now or no?
No.
Okay,
Strictly past the resolutions.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 131 of 2022, resolution to authorize hiring of alternate Zoom operator. Resolved that in order to facilitate the continued video streaming of town meetings, the town board has determined that it is in its best interests of the town to hire Jane Ellis as part-time employee to perform the services of alternate Zoom operator at the rate of $75 per meeting.
And that, just so everybody knows, is what Chris gets now. And if Chris can't make it, Jamie's gonna step in. She's just learning it. By the next meeting, she'll be helping him out. We're not getting rid of Chris. We're just giving him a little assistance in case he can't make it to a meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution to give notice to bidders that the town of Lake Luzerne will accept sealed bids for one 2022 or newer 1-ton truck. Whereas it has been determined that it's in the best interest of the town to give notice to bidders that the town of Lake Luzerne will accept new bids for one truck with the updated specifications. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board will give notice to bidders that the town will accept sealed bids at the town hall until 4 p.m. on September 12th, 2022 for one 2022 or newer 1-ton truck with dual rear wheels and high roof enclosed service body. And be it further resolved that sealed bids will be opened publicly and read aloud at the next regular town board meeting on September 12th, 2022 at 7:10 p.m.
Make a motion.
I'll second it. Hold on, Lori, please.
Yeah.
This is. the highway department.
This is the truck for the water department,
Water.
correct?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. Resolution 133 of 2022, resolution establishing Medicare Part B premium payments for select retired town employees. The legislative intent, the resolution is intended to establish the town's policy regarding Medicare Part B premium reimbursement for select retired employees. The intent that any previous town resolution or policy is inconsistent with with this policy, this resolution will control. Legislative history. In 2007, the town board adopted Resolution 17 of 2007, which secured a health insurance plan that included a Medicare supplement preferred provider organization and included the reimbursement of Part B premiums and penalties. In November of 2007, the town board adopted Resolution 131, which made Medicare Part B mandatory for eligible employees. In 2013, the town created a policy handbook and further clarified the Medicare Part B requirement and reimbursement policy. The 2013 policy specifically identified Medicare eligible retirees who qualified for town subsidized health coverage, who were over 65 years of age and who were receiving Part B reimbursement as of December 31st, 2012. For those select retirees and their spouses, hereafter the select retirees, the 2013 policy continued the payment of Part B premiums with the caveat that the policy could be amended in the future. Premium reimbursement payments were frozen in 2013 and were subsequently reduced by $10 per month each year until 2021, when they were again frozen at the 2020 reimbursement rates, pending ongoing discussion regarding the potential phasing out of the benefit due to increasing costs. Whereas following numerous discussions and deliberations, the town board has determined that the following policy is in its best interest of the town and declares the following as its policy for reimbursement of Part B premiums for select retirees. Now therefore be it resolved, effective immediately, the town will reimburse the select retirees for the entire amount of their Part B premium. For the purpose of reimbursement, the select retirees will provide proof of the premium amount to the town on an annual basis by January 31st of every year. If proof of the premium amount for reimbursement is not provided by January 31st, the town will reimburse at the basic Part B premium amount then in effect. In addition to the monthly reimbursement, the town will reimburse select retirees $75 per month for the unpaid premium amount from January 2014 through July of 2022 until the unpaid premiums during that period are fully reimbursed. To continue to be eligible for this Part B premium reimbursement policy, the select retirees must join the town's retiree health insurance plan through Humana at the next open enrollment period.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Yeah, I'd like a little bit of discussion.
Okay,
Town council, at our last meeting, we talked about putting the names in of the retirees. I see they're not here. Was there any reason why we don't want to name the people? So perhaps, 3 years from now, might save some time going through sorting all this stuff out again.
Well, I think the goal when we were putting the resolution together was to continue to define the group of retirees the same way that the previous resolutions in the town policy defined it. And so to keep some consistency in kind of going back in tracking who this pertains to, that was the only reason for sticking with the language that we have, is just because it's the same language that's been consistent through each policy and each update.
That's kind of why I'm thinking we ought to put the names in, because some of that was really hard to figure out exactly what was intended, especially the spouses. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
It's the same people that we've been paying.
We're talking about a total of 10 people.
Yeah.
It's the same 10 people
11
that have been on the
people.
policy since their retirement, Jim, and I don't think it's necessary at this time because everything falls back to the year of 2007 and continues on. Okay, it's not the people that have just recently retired, and it doesn't consist of people that are going to retire in the upcoming year or something like that. This is all based on the
I'm
people
fine with
that
that.
have retired.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
The other potential suggestion, or question, at the very last line. The body, it says retirees health insurance plan through Humana. I'm wondering if we should add a little bit there, but retirees supplemental health insurance plan, add the word supplemental. Which is currently through Humana. It might not be Humana next year.
That's an extra policy that they get to equalize from what the Medicare pays only 80%. This policy pays the other 20.
But here's what I'm worried about. If we leave it the way it is, it might be able to be argued that 2 years from now, we find a better deal, better plan, then we got to do another resolution just because we're changing companies.
That's, you can amend that to the language that you just mentioned. That's fine. What was given to us was to listed as Humana.
You matter at this time.
Yeah. No, you got that right. I'm just,
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we can take the name out because it could be somebody else.
no, I'm
Or you
not
could-
advising taking the name
No,
out.
Humana.
No, I'm advised, I'd say leave that in, but just add the words, which is currently
Yeah,
through Humana. I'm kind of nitpicking, but having read all this stuff, boy, it took me a while to sort through this stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
What do you guys think?
yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
health insurance plan, which is currently through Humana. You want supplemental? You want supplemental
I don't know.
before,
How do you guys feel
before
about
health
putting the word
insurance?
supplemental?
I
So that very last line, I'm suggesting, and
Retirees,
I'm
Supplemental.
I mean, I
more than
feel,
willing to discuss. The very last line, if I wrote it, would read retirees supplemental health insurance plan, which is currently through Humana. At the next
okay,
open.
if that makes you, yeah, I mean,
That should be all right.
it's extra. I think it, yeah, I think it
Clarifies a
clarifies
little
it
bit.
better with Humana or any.
Yeah. The reason I'm bringing that up is I'm paying $60 some and we're paying 200 and something now.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, so I'd like to have the option to be able to change.
Can we insert that, Michael?
Yep, that's fine.
I have it in there.
That's the only discussion I have.
Okay,
Good
anybody
one.
else?
That's a good one. All right. All right,
You'd want a motion on the amended.
I'd make a
resolution.
motion on the amended to put supplemental in there.
I'll second it.
And the words which is currently.
Yeah,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none carried, and then we have. to
You have a
finish
hand
the
up.
now
resolution.
you have to do the regular resolution for the whole.
That's it.
yeah. All in favor.
Okay. Okay, resolution 134 of 2022, resolution to award.
Well, we gotta do on the whole thing now. We
No,
just,
he said that's fine
just-
with the
oh,
amendment.
you fine with the resolution with the amendment in it?
Right.
Okay, fine, no problem.
I'll
Move
be-
on.
We just got all in favor or what? We didn't pass it.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, the motion was,
With the-
As amended.
right, as amended. So
Okay.
The motion was
Thank you.
the resolution as amended with the language that was discussed.
Gene. You got a gentleman.
We can't take questions now.
Excuse me, my question is, Councilman Niles said it was open for discussion. I raised my hand and wasn't called on and voted. What does that mean?
It was discussion between us, it's good.
He met for us to discuss it.
When we said it was discussion amongst the board, to make
Yeah.
sure, not the public.
Yeah.
Public can't come up with anything.
That policy or rule or?
That's policy of this, the way it's working now to do these resolutions. We can discuss that now and make any changes that we feel is right, like Jim came up with.
So it wasn't open for discussion by anyone in the audience, just for the board?
No, we
Just the
already
board.
had, we
Earlier
had
it was.
3 or 4 or 5 meetings with a lot of the gentlemen that are involved with this, and this is what it was settled at the last meeting. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, next. 134.
Resolution 134 of 2022, resolution to award bid for snowplow package. Whereas in accordance with the town's procurement policy, the town solicited bids for a snowplow, and whereas the town has sought and received 3 written quotes as followed. TNT Sales, Inc., $6,629. Dejana Truck and Utility Equipment, $6,945. Woodward Equipment Company LLC, $6,640. Whereas the lowest bid did not include a full hookup. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board finds that the offer from Woodward Equipment LLC for a price of $6,640 is the lowest responsible bidder that meets the specifications required by the town, and that is in its best interest of the town to accept said bid.
Make a motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, carried. And then Jean, you had one?
Yeah, I have one that we're doing off the floor. It was sent out to you, all you gentlemen on 3rd of August. Somehow we missed it in the filing the agenda. It's the EMS proposed by the EMS squad that we brought up at the workshop or the agenda meeting. On the back page is all the things that they have, basic life support, BLS 900 increase will go to 1,100. Advanced life support, ALSI. It was 1,250. The increase will be 1,350. Advanced life support, ALS2 is 1,400, will increase to 1,500. And mileage was $22 a mile, will increase to $25 a mile. And this is going in front of the Hadley Town Board Thursday night. I already spoke to Mr. Wright, and he's sure his board is going to pass it. And we need a resolution to pass it here so they can move forward with it in the budget process.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Gotta get done.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed?
thank you.
Hearing none, carried.
All right, so we'll move along. We'll have reports now. Highway Superintendent,
Um. The only thing that we had, I don't know if it's gonna get discussed later. The sign on Sherman Road.
What's
Um,
that?
The
I
sign.
can't
on
hear you. The mic.
The sign on Sherman Road, we have a sign, but it doesn't say private road on it. So we're gonna have to have it revised to say private road on the bottom of it. And we would like to know exactly where we should install it. Should it be at the end of the blacktop or should it be at the 0.24 mile marker?
Have anybody have any comments? It's been discussed for quite a while now.
I'd like to table this at the present time until we get some more discussion on this, to get my mind back onto it. I know the 2.4 is approximately where the tree is laying.
No, that's the 0.24 should be about where the blue paint marks
Or
are.
the loop. Okay. But I know there's a bunch of discussion in regards to was the road a town road? Wasn't it the whole 9 yards at the present time?
It's gonna speak up. Have to speak
Would-
up.
Got to
So-
speak up just a little. Sorry.
Mr. Crowe, would you care to chime in? I know there was a conversation earlier today.
I'm not aware of the conversation from earlier, but I would say that you can't have a private road and town highway on the same mileage. So if it's a question of where the sign should go, it wouldn't necessarily be where the blacktop ends. It'd be the mileage as to where the highway by use or the dedicated highway, where that
And-
terminates.
Okay,
And then the remainder would be the private road. But it could be, a portion of the private road could be paved, a portion of the town highway could be unpaved. But if that distance is town highway, then it can't also be private road. So it has to be one or the other.
so what you're saying, it should be where the 0.24 ends.
Right, if that's the end point of the town highway, then that's where the sign should go.
Sense to me.
Paul, are you all right with that, or you want still on the table?
Can I speak?
Yes, yes.
I gave that complete file to Attorney Crowe with the intention that he look at it and try to figure out exactly where the town does own on this problem. I don't know if you've reached any conclusion with that. I know that the chips you've always claimed 0.24 miles. And those maps, I don't know if they correspond to that 0.24 miles that you've got or not, but did you reach any conclusion from what I gave you?
Yeah, I would say from everything that we have in here, the town highway extends only the 0.24 miles. And I can't find anything that indicates that it was,
That it's beyond the blacktop area?
I believe so.
and so that's the portion that I would say is the town highway. And so anything beyond that, based on what the records that you have, is not the town highway.
Is any of that portion that he's talking about, any of the area that has been blocked off?
Mhm.
So part of that has been blocked off by people that own property around in that area. So what do we do about that?
Well, that's private property. And so that's an issue between,
No, at the end of the blacktop's blocked off at the present moment.
okay, well, if it's blocked off on the town highway, then it should be removed.
Mhm. Well, this is where the problem has come into play. I'm assuming that Karen, you're speaking of the stuff you sent us earlier this week. In regards, or it was sent to Cindy by Megan Woodcock.
I don't have that, so.
You don't
no.
have
those are
that
FOIA
FOIA
requests.
request?
Those are FOIA
Those are
requests.
FOIL requests.
I've got a copy here, but I haven't seen it before.
Have you read it
No.
FOIL request or anything like that. This goes back to the same thing I said earlier. I'd like to hold it and not do anything with the sign until we figure this thing out a little more.
Can I make one comment? Right now in the board, in the area, we have two previous road superintendents. Could you guys do anything to help us figure out about that road? We've been messing around with this for 3 to 5 years.
Sherman Avenue.
Sherman Road.
And what about the rest of it? Who does it belong to? That's what we've been saying, but
Right.
but who owns it? That's the problem.
Yes.
Because it's been kicking around for last 3 or 4 years now. We can't resolve it.
We're trying to determine actually who owns what. Young lady,
You guys have town board meeting, note from, 1987 that states that the road was a class 5 abandoned road at the time. At the time, you guys stated that if the landowner wanted to bring it up to spec, they'd have to do so by their self, not the town.
would you do me a favor, ma'am? Could you come up here and sit at the mic, please, so everybody can hear you also that people on Zoom, please? State your name.
Megan Woodcock.
Thank you.
July 14th, 1987, there was a town board meeting that discussed the 0.24 miles priorly used, and it was seen as being unused. So they, at the time, deemed it as an abandoned road. There's no paperwork accordingly, but they referenced some other deeds or surveys prior. At that time, the landowners present at the board meeting wanted the town to maintain it. And so they discussed what they had to do to consider taking over the road, which was pretty much the landowners would have to do much of the work before the town would consider it, but the town definitely wanted to consider it. For about 45 years, the landowners back there, including both Druins and the Rileys, have worked the road for 45 years to bring it up to workable, a really great road actually to access their properties. Again, in August 14th, 2021, there was some discussion by the previous highway department guy, Howery, does that ring a bell? Whoever was highway department before, PODWIRNY.
No, Pod Warner. He's sitting right there in the audience.
There's
Okay,
the gentleman
hi.
right there.
Meet you. Okay, so August 14th, he had discussed Riley's had brought up the issue of the abandonment of the road because as he said, I put in plenty of FOIL requests and there's no documentation such. From that time, in 2001, they had discussed about that. Okay, I'll just read it. The Rileys wanted to discuss regarding the possible abandonment of the road. Mr. Riley and others in the neighborhood opposed the abandonment. In fact, they would like the town to bring in fill, gravel, grading of the same to upgrade the condition of the road. The supervisor Bennett advised that Highway Superintendent Powery is responsible for and his department regarding the care of the roads. At that time, Walter Burnham opposed the abandonment of the road. Ruth Jackson, which now is owned by Acuri, his property, also opposed the abandonment. As she wanted to sell the back portion, in which she did. She wanted potential buyers to have access to it. We had, I believe, the Hunt, he actually sent a letter with the Rileys that he opposed it. He owned the property that I now own and wanted to maintain access back there. Walter Burnham, also regarding Sherman Road, asked that there be clarification at the time for his attorney. The footage in question was about 700 feet. This is all in the minutes, by the way, which was never acted upon by abandonment by the board, which I have also found no abandonment and actually documentation from Cynthia Sherwood that there is no abandonment paperwork. The town board has asked Superintendent Powery to get an accurate measurement of the
Excuse me, ma'am, it's Pod Warner.
Podworry, sorry. Podworry to get an accurate measurement of the 0.24 miles from Ralph Road to the exact point where the footage ends. So that's what we were discussing here. The current paved portion is a little over 600 feet or something. Logan might better be able to tell me what
Off
that
the
measure.
top of my head, I'm not.
We're missing about half the road. The Ralph Road to the exact point where the footage ends and the town would then seek to maintain that portion. If the quarter mile goes further than what is already maintained, then at the direction of the highway superintendent, there could be improvements to the road and the board would likely, like to see the improvements made. Matter of fact, Ron Dool, verifies that for 20 years that he's been in it, they've been maintaining it sporadically as asked. They've taken trees down, they've brought in fill, and the landowners have worked the road. So I believe that the blue marks on the tree might have been part of where the end of the 0.24. But basically, the town of Lake Luzerne has been maintaining the road from 2001 to 2021. As in much of the roads that I've been told that Lake Luzerne now owns, they owned it by maintaining it and basically taking possession of that. So I have 20 years of at least correspondence from the now highway superintendent that it also acknowledges that the town has been maintaining these roads. I believe that the maintenance done by the town shows that they in fact had some type of thought ownership. The road's been closed now for a year, and we've yet, with highway laws, the need to put up like a quit claim or something if the town literally has just backed off and no longer has a vested interest, whether they actually physically owned it or not, is part of the requirement, and that's not been done. So I know in part of the 2018, the resolution, I mean, where you want to wait and put up the sign, but in 2018, it's very specifically named 871 feet off the edge of the blacktop to the west was Sherman Road Extension. So I'm not sure why the sign has sat in the DPW office and not, pressed to put it up. I mean, it's probably where some of the confusion of the private road lies, but the couple questions I have is, I'm not sure, and maybe somebody will give me some information. I did put in a FOIL request and was unable to get it, but how did Sherman Road Extension come to measure 871 feet? Why does the town, the highway department, maintain it from minimally from 2001 to 2021 if they don't own it? Why is the town getting the CHIPS money of the 0.24? I assume, are you still getting the 0.24 CHIPS money for the maintenance of it? I know there was,
I don't think so, right?
has that been adjusted?
From what my impression, I can't answer 100%, but from under my impression, we still are.
This is a long battle.
Oh,
None of us were on the boards when this started, so it's tough for us to make decisions on it.
Well, from what I can tell was the road went from East River Drive to Ralph Road. It was Schneider Road. Then at some point within the last 40 years, it was paved. I've even put in a FOIL request to find out when was Sherman Road paved. Apparently the town of Lake Luzerne doesn't keep record of when they paved their roads either. So that is difficult. So Sherman Road, in part of the mapping in Warren County, does refer to it as a possible cul-de-sac that goes east to Ralph Road. However, whenever the pavement was done, whenever the chips were maintained, as far as I can tell, at least 45 years, it's never actually gone to the cul-de-sac. There's been a gate there. There's not actually been access. Therefore, the town started however long ago maintaining in a forward direction 0.24 miles because the DOT report states that it's a dead end road, so I guess it does end somewhere, but every other survey we get, everything else, calls it Sherman Road or Sherman Road Extension. And it's unfair that, 5-6 landowners back there cannot have access because the town cannot figure out where they own or where they don't own. I mean, with a lawyer, I feel like I'm not a lawyer and I've found more information than I feel like we've been able to get coming to these board meetings to get some type of resolution. It's just unacceptable in my opinion. I mean, you collect taxes from us and nobody cares that we can't access our parcels. And we've asked time and time, what can we do? What can we do? And we're still saying, oh, we'll just wait. We'll just wait. Well, if I put 13 boulders in front of your house, I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to wait a year to get there.
I got a question for you,
Sure.
okay? We had a discussion approximately 8-9 months ago
Mhm.
with the landowners that are in question.
The
and a
easement
number of
agreement,
people- Huh?
the easement agreement.
Yes. Okay,
Mhm.
lawyers were here and everything else.
Yep.
Has there been any communication between people that live up above that?
No, I don't know what exactly the reason is, whether the Halets are unhappy that their subdivision was tabled a year ago. But they unfortunately are the first parcel owners at the start of Sherman Road Extension. So anything they do affects the rest of us. In June 9th, 2021, so that's significant time that has passed. The lawyer that was representing the opposite party that we were buying from did draft an easement agreement, but there was no sense of everybody else signing it if the Halets hadn't. We have since, started a civil litigation against the Halets to remove the boulders after, putting in requests to move them to go that way, but there's still an issue of where the town's involvement should have been. I mean, I don't think any of us landowners should have to pay $40,000 to litigate to get access to our road when there's question that where the town stops the owning. And if they don't own it, I don't understand why it's taken a year. I mean, to just say, okay, fine, quit claim, we have no vested interest. It now goes back to the landowners on either side, but even that hasn't been done. So it seems like there's some interest of the town to want to keep maintaining it the way that they did, or I don't know if it's just to keep the landowners happy or, what, but to keep going back and forth or waiting, on this measurement of 0.24 miles. I mean,
0.24 miles is from point A to where the boulders are, correct?
it's beyond,
That's the beyond part.
yes. Beyond it, 600-700 feet. I mean, the boulders are like, okay, so the paved portion of Sherman Road, I wish you had the number, but I think it's under 700. So we're 0.24 equals out to like 1,200 and something feet. I don't know. I have it written down somewhere. So we're missing.
1267.
There you go, 1267. So I want to say the paved portion is like 667, and we're still missing, a good 600 feet of what would be town owned portion. So even the surveyor was like, well, I guess it could have possibly gone to the right, but that's never been paved. It's never been maintained. And yet this other direction has been maintained. So I'm not really sure, because that resolution of 2018, it states that Sherman Road Extension is 871 feet. Does anyone know where that number came off of? Because even that's combined. I have no idea. You know where that number came off of? Yeah. But I mean, at least that would be a portion of that 0.24 that we're missing. And I mean, it would at least
So for
the boulders.
I know on my end, after the meeting we had with the lawyers and everybody here, it sounded like it was going the right way, and possibly, hey,
A year
possibly
and a half ago, it sounded like it was going the right way.
Continue the right
No.
way between the Hazlets and you people that own the property up there.
Well, I think the town supervisor could have let you in on that it wasn't, because they've,
I don't know if anything
Oh,
point
okay.
that after that point.
okay. No, it never was going in a good direction,
No,
unfortunately.
It
So
wasn't.
a highway by use, if it's abandoned, it happens by operation of law. And so the town doesn't own the property.
Right.
Essentially, the town has a right of way over private property for highway purposes. And if the public purposes for a highway cease for a period of 6 continuous years, it's deemed abandoned by operation of law. So there isn't necessarily a quitclaim deed that goes out or anything like that. It's just the highway is then abandoned. That's a question of, has it been used as for a public purpose, as a town highway for that period of time? So that's a factually driven question. That's not essentially something that the town board determines by resolution. Like I said, that's just a factually driven analysis.
How do they obtain roads that are, like, they're obviously, if it was Schneider Road from East River Drive to Ralph Road, and they obtained whatever they deemed in the DOT report, 0.24 miles of Sherman Road. How does the town obtain that?
You can kind of the reverse of an abandonment, creating a highway by use is, again, a period of use of a road by the public, as well as maintenance. And I believe that's a 10-year period. And so if a private road is used by the public for highway purposes and it's maintained by the town and that exceeds a period of 10 years, it can be petitioned to be a highway by use. In which case it goes on the town's inventory for highways and it gets maintained and is treated as if it were dedicated. And then the exact same thing in the opposite situation. If it's then not used for a period of 6 years, again, it's deemed abandoned. And
Is
so,
there formal paperwork that says that? Because it sounds like to me that 45 years of it being used falls into that, the fact that the town's been maintaining that for, I mean, at least 20 years that I've got the current supervisor to attest to. That it sounds like to me that the town owns
well, I just,
that
I
part.
would differ with you in the town owns terminology. Because, right, and
But
the town
is
has,
an eminent domain. I mean, you can take
right,
it. you know.
but that's different.
Okay.
That would be different. In eminent domain type of proceeding, that's when the town would physically own the land in fee simple. So the town would own the land just as if it were deeded to you. In terms of a highway by use, it's essentially, it's very similar to an easement or a right of way. The town has a right of way for highway purposes, but they don't own the land.
Okay, so I guess my takeaway here is it's 0.24 miles, 600 of it's pavement, the other 600 essentially goes straight, but there are boulders in the middle of the road. Does the town have any plans in moving that or?
There's a gate and then boulders after the gate that's blocking the road.
If it's within the right of way that the town currently has, then yeah, it's within the authority of the highway superintendent to remove any obstructions.
Okay, so I, from this further meeting, I then now ask the highway town to move it at the direction of the town lawyer that yes, they are to be moved.
Yeah, I cannot give the highway superintendent directions. I can give him advice. He's an elected official. He makes the determinations that he sees fit to make in the best interest of the town.
So
So
is the town ever gonna clarify so everybody's on the same page of how far in that direction, like we do every other resolution for things, so that there's not any question about that it's 0.24 and it's paved portion and it's dirt portion? I mean, like really specific specifications, so there's not further issue. I mean, I can understand from a highway department not wanting to come. You've got some people are saying, oh, it's private land, where it's sounding like the private portion of it maybe is beyond the 0.24 miles is what you're basically saying when they were trying to figure out where to put the sign.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't follow a question.
So are we going to put some type of resolution or something into work so that it can be clearly designated where the 0.24 is, that this certain footage is paved, this certain footage is dirt road, but then it kind of conflicts with the resolution of 2018 that says Sherman Road extension is 871 off the pavement.
That would, again, that'd have to be at the discretion of the town board if they wanted to pass a resolution to that effect.
Okay.
They don't have to, they don't have to have a resolution identifying the meets and bounds or the length of the road. That's what the highway inventory list does. So if it's in the highway inventory list as 0.24, then that is presumed to be the distance of that town highway.
Okay, and what if there's the meetings of the minds don't come where somebody thinks the road goes straight and somebody thinks the road goes in another direction? How do you resolve that? Because I think that's why it hasn't been established clearly.
Again, I'm not sure I understand the question. If somebody thinks that it curves and somebody thinks it goes straight,
So
it'd be
current,
determined by the use.
by the use and the current use of, okay. So It kind of seems clear to me that it goes straight and we're missing 600 feet and currently it's on town land and we've waited a year and nobody's done.
Well, again,
anything.
I'd correct you.
Okay,
The town doesn't own the land.
so, okay, if the town doesn't own it, but are you saying that the town will not move the boulders or that they?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, well, I guess.
The town doesn't own the land. The town has a highway right of way.
Okay, so because of the highway, town highway right away, those boulders should not be in the road is what you're telling me.
I'm saying that the highway superintendent has the authority to remove any obstructions in the right of way.
The last time there was an object in the roadway, Ron went up and removed it. They dropped a tree across the road. He pulled it out of the way and they called the cops on him. Now they have put a gate across the road. My question is, the gate potentially could be on two separate landowners, one on each side. What's the authority that we have to remove the gate? Or
Yeah, if it's within,
it's across the road, but I would assume that it's got to be on. Yeah, the width that we have it, if it's past our right of way on either way, what do we?
if it's outside the 3-rod right of way, is that what you're saying? That
Yeah, it's completely across the road, so
Right.
potentially it could start on the Hazlets and go over to
Mosers.
Mosers. Or it could be potentially 100% in our right of way.
Yeah, he's been
Any-
waiting
any-
very patiently to speak.
Do you want to switch spots?
Can you say what you want to say?
Megan,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, Logan, it does.
Just give us your
You give
name.
us
Give us your
the-
name
What's
first.
your name?
Name first.
Danny Allen.
Right.
And yeah, we've been talking about this and discussing it for over a year. But why do we even, every time there's a new town board or a new highway superintendent, we have to go through this again? Now, my family's own this piece of property. I've been married for 30 years. So for 30 years, we've been in front of this board, not this particular board, but this same group that represent the town a number of times. Now, there's been back 15, 20 years ago, the town came in and fixed the road so they could get in and out. That's when my father-in-law and all of them was on the minutes. But anyways, since then, it's been minimum traveling from the town, but they do go in there. They go in, they revel it. They don't do a lot of plowing, but it's a seasonal, more or less a seasonal deal. Why do we have to, resolve with the landowners? On your road that you live on, if someone should block the road, would all of you guys have to make a deal with him? Or would you go to the town and say, move this
I'd
stuff?
be doing the same thing you're doing.
The same thing. Now, I don't understand why we're even doing this.
Well, like
We've
I said-
already done it, and we've done it with the members before you. And I would imagine we're gonna do it with the members behind you guys.
So let's hope not.
But I haven't even, it
Like I
doesn't
said-
even sound logical to me.
Like I said, the last thing I knew was the meeting and you were here.
Right.
With the lawyers and everything. We spent,
But then the town lawyers resign and this and that, and we just get pushed aside. I don't know what they have, what kind of pull these people have, but their dollars ain't any greener than our tax money.
Who?
I don't believe it's a matter
I don't
of
even
people
believe
getting
it's
paid
the
off
same
or anything like
No,
that.
no,
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 I think it's
I'm
probably
just
some
saying
oversight
that
by the
it's
by the
who
board
you-
or the town.
it's- I don't understand why it's who you are in this deal. Why do we have to keep going through this every 5, 10 years? And it's been going on and on and on. Now, I mean, I know since.
If the
I've been-
0.24 is accurate, let's put the sign up.
Well, we gotta move the stones in the gates first.
There you go.
Well, Danny, you and I had many conversations. and
Many,
You know how I
many.
feel.
Yeah,
If I could say what to do, I would do it.
I know.
But you
we
gotta go
shouldn't have
by
to
the
ask
people on my
permission to
right
use our
that
town road.
advise us. And then we
Mhm.
have, how many different surveys do we have? How many, there's a bunch
In the
of different.
file, there's one survey for the subdivision, which did not get passed because it didn't get passed because we weren't sure where the right of way was did the road adjoin the property that wanted to be subdivided. They needed a way into that property. We cannot create a landlocked property. So the board did not pass it. It was supposed, that's when it was given to the town attorney at the time to try to resolve where the town owned, or the people that wanted the subdivision were supposed to come back and subdivide their land by putting an easement or a right of way into the second parcel they wanted to create from the first parcel. They've never done that. The other survey that is in there in the file is from All Point Surveying. He was asked to do a survey for the town, which is in that file. I didn't know that it was in the file. But anyway, it was in the file. And I'm not even sure now without looking at it where it says the road stops and starts. So after speaking with Mr. Allen one day, I gave the whole file to the town attorney to try and figure out what was going on with it. And it sounds as though tonight that they've established that we own 0.24 miles in from Ralph Road to somewhere.
That's the impression I got.
But
Well, they-
where exactly that path is, I could not swear where it is. And actually, I don't need to know it for what I do in my office, but the people living there need it taken care of because either civilly or by the town board claiming that we have a right of use road there so that they can get to their property. They haven't been able to get to their property in over a year.
I have one thing to say. Where their blue lines is on the trees, it lacks a couple 100 feet from reaching the turnaround spot that the town uses to turn around to drive back out. And there's a gate there off to the side. It's like an intersection. So the town maintains right to that turnaround spot. Now, I know your 2.2 or 2.4 is on the trees. There's a blue paint on both sides.
Correct.
But you turn around at the gate. So what I'm asking is, once we reach that spot in the gate where the town turns around, there's no more confusion. Everybody beyond that spot are the ones that are here complaining. So if we could get it to that turnaround spot, which is only the property that you guys have been maintaining or using anyways for the last 30 years that I know of, that I've been part of this deal. So, and I know it lacks a couple 100 feet or 150 feet, something like that, beyond the blue paint. But that would end all arguments, but it's no more than what you have been maintaining already.
Anytime I've been in there, there's no spot to turn around until you get to that gate that he's talking about. So you
Is
either
that
got to drive in.
beyond?
Yes. So you either got to drive in and back out, or you have to go in, turn around and come back out.
And it's a short spell, but it's no more than what you've been maintaining anyways.
So if we put the sign at 0.24 and that marcation is accepted, we're still too short for you guys.
No, you maintain to that turnaround spot. All we're
I
asking
don't know
is
where that is, but
all I'm asking you is,
0.24 is,
all we're asking, all the landowners are asking is just maintain it to where you always have. And you can ask Logan, there's no spot to turn around. You guys have never drove in and backed out.
okay.
I mean, it's not,
I have a question, okay, I don't know anything about it, so I'm pretty impartial, right? But I'm hearing that 0.24 miles from some point seems to be the legal description as to what the town has been using. Doesn't own, but has a, whatever the right term is. If we do the 0.24, am I now hearing that you're still going to be in a pickle
No.
because that's short?
no, we're beyond anybody that's given us any issues.
Okay.
This just covers the future. So we
the
don't have to do this
0.24
again.
From your perspective, and anybody else that can chime in, the 0.24 would resolve the issue.
Would let us in unless someone else gives us an issue. And then we'd be right back here again because the town maintains or travels to that turnaround spot. And like I said, it's not ain't as far as from here to the blacktop. but that's where they turn around.
And by
That's where they-
definition, the town has been maintaining it, and by definition has been maintaining the easement, and by definition is still a town road. Because we have been maintaining it, am I correct?
Maintenance in and of itself doesn't establish abandonment or non-abandonment. So it's still a question of public use. But I would say the fact that the town has been maintaining it, you don't maintain roads that aren't being used. And so it kind of, the two go hand in hand, but town maintenance in and of itself cannot establish abandonment. So you can't just stop plowing a road, wait 6 years and then declare it abandoned. But like I said, they do go hand in hand. And I'd say the fact that you're maintaining it as far as you do establishes that there's some public use of it.
By maintaining it, it's open for the public to go up there anytime they want and turn around where the trucks are. So that would, by maintaining it, means it is public use. It doesn't, there's no specification of how many cars they have to travel on it. There's no set number that determines that.
No, there isn't. But again, maintenance alone wouldn't establish the public use. But like I said, it would go hand in hand with it.
Okay.
Mike, I got one more question. Say we go up there tomorrow, remove the gate, remove the rocks. Thursday, they're right back in. What action do we have then?
So I would say first, and I can speak to Ron about this tomorrow, but the first thing I'd do is kind of give a notice, to remove the obstructions.
That's been given quite a few times, but
I would do it again. And then with the indication that on, a date certain, they would be removed. And then if there is continual encroachment, that could be enforced through legal system. So you'd essentially a lawsuit against the landowner or whoever's encroaching on the road.
Okay.
But I would say, we've been talking about the 0.24, and the one thing that I haven't looked at would be the highway inventory list. And so I just want to make sure that the, current highway inventory list indicates 0.24, and that's kind of, I assume that's what it's going to say year after year. But I'd want to check that just to be sure.
okay.
Aaron, you
We
said
can-
you have a map of that?
The file is right there. Mike Crow has had the file, Mike Crow has had the file for about a week now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going to give it back to you.
Thanks.
Can
Can
you
I
look
have
into
it?
that pretty
It's
quick?
not complete. I mean, it's the file that I
Not
have for
disagree.
the subdivision stuff, but
Is it a picture of the map and small enough that you can make a copy of it? Or is it a full?
it's a full survey map.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask one more question? If the paperwork don't match what we're saying, or the paperwork has got lost, by the town using it as a right of way, or us using it as a right of way, we're still got that 2.4.
I would say what governs highway by use is the public use.
Okay,
So again, maintenance doesn't necessarily count as a
but it
public
helps.
use, right?
But it
It does go
helps.
hand in hand.
Perfect.
But what dictates the length of a highway by use, the width of a highway by use is the use.
Thank you.
All right, so I understanding what you're saying. I mean, some of these people have been using that road for 30, 40 years.
Public use.
And what I still can't get in my head, what made, I won't mention the name, the subdividing people think that part of that road was theirs, that they
Well,
can block it.
I don't
Keep-
know.
Keep in mind,
Because their parents passed away, Gene, and they inherited it. And we're dealing with a new group.
it's hard to describe use when it's just kind of a residential type of access road. So, for example, a long country driveway. it's hard to differentiate that from a private road that spurs off of.
Right,
Town
Really,
highway.
it was an
but
old
when,
logging
but
road.
when
Years ago,
public,
no logging.
but when taxpayers' equipment, which is lettered on its side, town equipment, travel that, then it becomes a public highway, right?
Not necessarily. The maintenance of it, again, doesn't establish it as a town highway. It's the use that the road is being put to. And all I was saying is that it can be difficult to differentiate public use from a private residential use. So Ron's not going to be responsible for plowing everybody's personal driveway.
Right, but
Because-
he's responsible for the ones he plows, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you say this is a public highway because we drive on it to get to our homes. Well, I drive on my driveway to get to my home.
Right,
That's not-
but no town equipment comes and patches your driveway or plows your driveway or cuts a tree that fell across your driveway. Right? I mean, you do that yourself if something falls across your driveway.
Right, I'm just talking about use, not maintenance.
I don't know what to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, on this.
Gene, I'm not gonna give up. You know me.
I know you.
You know?
You talked, I mean, like I say, this board here, I'm not, can't speak for any of them, but we're all really willing to try to get something done. Is it possible that get the other people back in here and let's sit down and battle it out that way? Or is it?
Why do you ask for permission to drive on the road that you live on? Why does any of you board members?
Well, I have, I ride on 9N to get to my house.
Right, did you ask for permission or
I
did you
didn't get
have
permission
someone
from the
sit
state to
down
let
with
me
you?
do it. You just
So why
shoot it.
should we? Why
None of
should
us
we?
did,
You know, I mean, we should be equal to everybody else
But
in
in
town.
defense of the town, and I have to say this, everybody keeps using the word maintenance. I know these road superintendents and even Ron did not maintain it. Every once in a while, they would bring some stone from the landfill just to fill in the gullies that get washed out.
That was
But
a
it doesn't
mistake.
mean, we're doing that to help the people that were using it at the time. But now it's being stopped. It's, that's the way I look at it. But that's a road. I don't know what, I still can't get into my brain how they can take that part of the road away to stop everybody unless we
Their
really,
property line runs on the other side of that road. That's the reason.
does it?
No, no, no. I'll
That's
show you
where
a
the
survey
question
map.
is, right?
I'll give you a
Question,
survey
Two
map.
point four miles,
And
figure
if
out
you-
where it
and if you
is.
want, I think you and I spoke about it. If
figure out
worse
where-
came to worse, they own half of it and the people on this side own the other half. So it's really not,
Understood, and that's what.
that's the way we looked at it.
Oh, they just, well, you'd have to go out and take a look
But
at
you're
it.
talking
and
10
then-
feet. That's what Boston, 10 feet.
Well-
It's just.
I don't know.
Well, regardless, we have to get the sign that we have in the office revised to say private road at the bottom of it before it can be installed. So
Would it-
that
Would it be a private road then? Or why does it need private road written on it?
from 2018, the resolution classifies Sherman Road Extension as a private road, correct?
This is what.
Yeah.
But
You know,
there was-
they-
if
There
it
was
was,
a resolution. to that.
okay, if it
The
was,
extension part,
wonder if it was never abandoned and it was always a public access,
well,
is it private?
all the way to, are you saying all the way to?
No, I don't care. I mean, I wish them all the best of luck on down through. I'm happy with the turnaround spot.
You can't
That
get down
is-
in, I've been down there about 5, 8, 7 years.
Yeah,
ago. You
I
can't
mean,
get to East River.
You
Drive.
can't get through there anyways, but you can get to the turnaround spot. Pretty comfortable and beyond it, a few landowners.
From what my impression is, in 2018, they marked past it the 0.24 a public, a private road.
How could they? How
I-
can they just
That's what
abandon
the
it?
resolution was, correct?
There was a resolution to that effect, yeah.
So at that point, the sign would go where that begins. And if that's the case, the sign would have to say the private road. If there's other litigation that's gonna happen, then that's gonna stop us from putting up,
I think we should finish up our homework on the 0.24, which it sounds like town attorney, you wanted to take a look at the highway. Whatever it's
I don't need
called.
to see it. If you if you see it, I mean, and you look at it and it's 0.24, then again, I would say that matches everything that we have that says 0.24.
And then should we have you write something up to provide to the landowners, or
Yeah, I can talk to Ron.
I can have him
about it.
get a hold of you in the
It's
morning?
got to come from him as the highway superintendent, but we can prepare something with him
Get my head around.
so that he can get it out.
Okay,
So will we have some kind of an answer next month? The next meeting or what?
I
Do
will
you
try,
need more
I'll
time?
do my part to get the ball rolling tomorrow, but after it leaves my court, I can't guarantee anything.
Gene, I mean, you guys, is there gonna be, how long more do we wait? I have to wait.
I can't give you an honest answer on it. I don't think any of us can.
When
I-
is, when is the
I'm
next
not gonna,
meeting?
I'm not gonna vote to make a mistake.
When is the next meeting? What next month, what date?
Second
The
Monday.
first Monday in.
Second Monday.
Second Monday.
Second
Second
Monday in
Monday?
September.
Okay,
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, that's, again, I'll talk with the highway superintendent. That's the discretion of the highway superintendent.
Now, another question, technically that's private property on a town road. Would we have to remove? You don't know which landowner, well, you do, but where it came from, we can't just push it onto private property. Would we have to remove them completely?
Yeah, you'd have-
Again, if they have stuff that's impeding the town highway, you can put it off the right of way onto their
public pro-
property. You know, it kind of depends on what you're dealing with. Some people push snow into the road. You know, rocks, people built structures and sheds in it. Depends a little bit on what you're dealing with.
Do you live on that road, Mr.?
Oh, boy.
No,
But I have a question about that. If it's abandoned, who's paying taxes on it? Did it go back on a tax roll? So,
It's not town property.
so who's paying the taxes? Whoever
It's-
pays the taxes got to own it.
Right. And there's no question about the ownership of the earth that's underneath the road. That's the property owners all the way along the road. Own the property. If it's abandoned, then the property is theirs.
If
And
it's abandoned, it goes back on a tax roll, right?
yeah, and it never comes off the tax.
never came off, Fred.
Or never came on. So they're paying taxes on
It's just an.
the town road?
It's
Not a town road. The town don't own the property. The owners own the property.
It's just an easement to get over
The
that.
2.4
property.
miles or something, the town doesn't own?
It's an easement.
It's an easement.
So who pays taxes on it?
The townspeople.
The landowners?
All the
that live there
landowners
gotta
along
be
there
paying
pay some
taxes.
part of that taxes. for that. But it's an easement to go over. So it's like the lake, all right? Do we own the lake?
Well, on the
We
sec,
own the land, but the state owns the water. Figure that one out.
yeah, and if somebody drowns, we're in trouble.
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
sack and dog,
Let's,
that
let's
was
give
right
it
away.
another couple of weeks and let's,
then
Well,
they-
regardless,
right, gentlemen,
Yeah, let's,
agree with that?
we need to move
I think
forward.
we
I
ought to
think
take
we
a
get-
ride, take a look.
Yeah.
I agree with it.
I think we'd get a better idea. of
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Thank you, Freddie.
All right, thank you, Fred.
I gave you all the spec sheet that we have for the truck and the bodies. I emailed them earlier and then gave you all copies, so.
That's going on the
Yep,
resolution.
that's the specs that we were looking at, so everybody is aware of. Mountain Road has been paved, we just gotta do shoulders on it. And we are gonna be moving forward on Pierpont and Lake Tour Road within the next 2 weeks.
And when's River Road gonna get finished
That's after that,
after that?
Pierpont.
Could we get the grader up there?
Yeah.
It's just getting a little rough. I'll
I'll-
take my front end out. No, I was just wondering.
All right, let's move along. You finished?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go to Karen, zoning enforcement officer.
Okay, you have my report. I had emailed it out also, I believe, in your packet. As you know, we need to re-advertise for the deputy position in my office. And I also, as I put on the bottom of my report, I'm finding that taking the minutes and the meeting notes and transcribing everything is taking up quite a bit of my time. And we need to resolve it somehow. I know that it was going to be made part of the duties of the new person, but I don't know when that new person now is going to start. So I don't know if anybody knows anyone that would like to come in on those 2 meetings a month and take minutes and transcribe them, but we need to do something about that. I also did not put on my report, but I have a property on Call Street that is in pretty rough condition. It's got a lot of junk in the front yard, and I'm told also around the backyard, but I can't get around the house to look at it. But I had been sending out a couple of letters to the owner of record, and they called me finally and said that they had sold the property. I called the county treasurer's office and the property has been sold. It appears to be a foreclosure company that has purchased the balance of the loan, I guess. Anyway, they purchased the property. And I have sent a letter to them asking them to please take care of the property, get it cleaned up. I've not heard anything back yet. It really hasn't been enough time yet. This is kind of transpired within the last couple of weeks. But the reason I'm bringing it up is this property is in really bad shape. And if it doesn't get resolved, I may have to, or the town may have to address having it cleaned up by the town and putting some kind of a lien against the property for the cleanup. Only because winter is coming
Yes.
and it is in that bad a shape. So I'm just giving you forewarning that if I don't get it taken care of with this new company, that we may have to be looking at this property down the road.
And
in
I think
the
that's,
near
I was gonna
future.
say that to you, and I think that's a great idea, and I think we should leave it up to the attorney to write them a
Well-
letter specifying this property has to be cleaned up in X amount of time.
Well, I did that within the last
Well, make
week.
the attorney do it. And then otherwise, he should put it I think in the letter, if it's not done in X amount of time, give him 3 weeks, give him a month maybe, that the town will go in and clean it. And the money that it costs us to do it and remove it will be assessed to their taxes.
Yeah, what-
And
Nice.
I
I
think
just
that's the
wanted
way
to-
you gotta
Pay for it one
handle
way
it.
or
I just wanted to bring that
I
up.
think that's the way you gotta.
I've
Yeah,
had,
make you pay for it one
I
way or
agree.
another. and pay
I've
for it.
had 3
They
inquiries.
bought it.
Yeah, I was just up there the other day. Somebody told me to go look at it, and
We
that's
have to
why,
change the disc. Can we
Okay.
Take a break.
They bought it.
right? I mean, you think I'm
Okay.
am I saying it the right way? Maybe I'm not saying it in legal terms, but
Gene, before we get into too many other people's reports, we have a young lady here from New York State that is here to speak to us tonight. Maybe we can get her in. Okay, if you don't mind, it's under Mike's agenda. I don't have the hard copy with me.
Hold on.
wait,
Just a
wait, hold
second.
on. We gotta wait till we change the tape here, so we get what you're saying.
This is on the
Work release, work.
the work release in
Alternative
regards to
sense.
that Greg Novotarski from the fire department and Mike had been working on. Okay, for people that have,
Yeah, I read the. report.
okay. Well, she's here to explain that, answer our questions. And it was sent to us. But no hard
Let's
copy.
finish this one conversation about.
Yeah,
this-
yeah.
This road on
Well,
Call
that-
Street.
I'm just saying.
The
before we
property
get-
on Call Street.
Before we get into the Lori's reports and everything else, if you don't mind.
I'll let Karen finish first. Let Karen finish first.
Yeah. Somebody can.
So I'll just finish up quickly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just
Let's-
gonna
let's-
finish up.
Let's get an answer about those property.
Well, okay, I'll contact Mike and I can send you what I've done so far, but I did give them, I think, 2 weeks in this letter that I sent this week to take care of it. So I'm hoping to at least hear back from them as to what they're gonna do, but I'll get you a copy of what I've done so far on that. The other, I only have a couple other small things. I had given to Attorney Crow the Sylvan Road issue, and he had gotten back to me this week. I don't see the lady here that was questioning it, but Mike's response on the Sylvan Road was that the title abstractor looked into the maps and deeds and has not come up with anything that would establish that the town owns any land or has a right of access beyond the bounds of the travel portion of the road. And I did email him back saying it would be nice to have it established on the maps what the travel portion of the road is, because the town owns a piece of property right adjacent to the road. And that's where the question is coming in. So that still hasn't been totally resolved in my mind, but
Well, on that, Karen, I'll need you to point out which parcel the town owns.
okay, I can show you that.
Okay.
And the only other thing that I have is, I don't know if you're going to be discussing short-term rentals in your reports tonight or not.
I have something about that later.
Okay, but there, I have provided to you a very thick packet that Barbara, oh geez, I'm gonna mess your last name up.
Well, her
Venera.
maiden name was Burdenko.
Barbara Veneris provided to me this week, and you've each got a copy of that. And tonight, Mr. Burdenko also gave you another letter in your pile, and I've asked, and you asked the attorney to look into the legality of whether these short-term rentals are considered hotel motels or not. So that's the last thing that I have in my report.
All right, Karen, thank you. Young lady, if you would like to come up now?
So. Stephanie Hewitt.
You have to speak into the mic. okay?
Stephanie Hewlett. I
That's-
run the Warren County Community Service Program through the Community Action Agency. And I have 14 town courts that I take care of. When they order community service, either a sentence is being lowered, gonna get lowered, or expunge or whatever. So I use a lot of town offices, such as the highway department, such as building and grounds. I called the building and grounds department on June 27th. Nobody had called me back. I called the highway department June 28th. Nobody called me back. The guy from the buildings and grounds, he was on medical leave. He just called me back and said no to having community service people because they have too expensive equipment. So, it's not everybody who gets community service is a thief, has petty larceny charges. It could be, used to be marijuana, it could be DWI, DWAI. So, I utilize them, Warrensburg, Ticonderoga, Queensbury, all over. The only town that I don't use is Glens Falls. They don't even let me use the library there because they save it for their prisoners, is how it was put to me. But so I sent email out to the volunteer fire department, to Greg. I don't want to butcher his last name. And so he got me in touch with Mike and sent out an email to, I know the town supervisor was on there. I don't know who else
Yeah, we
out of
can.
here
We all got it.
was there. So I just want to know if, I have currently 3 people that live in Lake Luzerne, have no transportation out. My people, I call my participants, I should say, they can mow lawns, they can, clean windows, they can pick up garbage. My guy, Rich Paris, through Queensbury transfer station, he hasn't picked up garbage. I keep them at my work at Community Action. I'm not above, going through the donations that we get, putting them out on the other side, making a food box for anybody. But I just need, maybe to think about having them help. I have a lady who runs the west side Glens Falls, I think it is, or West Queensbury Fire Department. She has them washing bay windows, mowing around. I had been in touch with Scott Hayden at the Adirondack Folk School. He more or less wants people who can do a business aspect of maybe doing some computer work. I understand that. And if you do accept people to do for the highway department or for the fire department, you could say, we don't want anybody who is, grand larceny or anybody who's been convicted. I automatically cannot accept anybody who has, any sexual charges at all. So that's first and foremost. But if you put a stipulation in there, we don't want petty larceny, I understand. I won't send anybody like that. But everybody deserves a second chance. I have a kid who was working at the campground. He rides his bike everywhere and I can't find him a spot. His parents work. He's an only child. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I don't know where I can put him. He had to Uber it all the way to my office so I could meet with him. And, I don't know. I don't know where to put him. I told them just to maybe hold on. Somebody said the library. I've never called the library. I never utilized the library. Since COVID, it has been harder to find spots for these people. I used to use my SPCA. They don't really want anybody in there as of yet still. So that was really hard. I used to utilize the I don't know, what is it? Meals on Wheels. However, my contact left Meals on Wheels, but I know that's something, maybe they can help out with here. Lake Luzerne, it just food for thought, just to see if there's anything you guys can, any volunteers anywhere through any services, any not-for-profit organization.
All right, let me speak to you a little bit. How
Sure.
long you been doing this? You sound
6
very
years.
enthusiastic. Well, longer than that. We had a lot, we would do that a lot here. We did work on it. The problem that turned up was, you've said it right at the beginning, none of them have transportation.
Correct.
So when the crews go out to work at 6:30 or 6:45, whatever the case may be, and they're not there, then you have to get somebody to take them to where they are. That's one problem.
Yep.
And a lot of them just, I mean, I don't know how to say it any better, but just don't care what they're doing. They
And-
don't have the heart in it. And so the gentlemen that are working digging ditches next to them, these guys standing there looking at them, it causes a little stir. We tried it probably before your time. But I mean, if you took more an interest with us, I don't know how the board feels, but we might be able to try it. But it's, it's tough work, that especially picking up garbage. I mean, that's one of the hardest
wholeheartedly
jobs other
agree.
than digging ditches in the
Right.
wintertime.
I wholeheartedly agree. I have probably 75% of them don't really care. They'll get extension after extension after extension. I totally get it. So then you put in place, hey, first time, no call, no show, you're done. You gave them the opportunity for a second chance. They didn't utilize it. That's just the way it goes. That's,
I mean, the
you can put
guys say to me, we're
stipulations
not here to
into-
do a babysitting job.
I wholeheartedly, and I'm not either. When I first got hired, my boss is like, you are not a probation officer. It's not your job to babysit them. It's not your job to go after them. But I would like to see everybody succeed. I have a good,
We'd love
you
to
know,
have some
good
people
rate,
help cut the
I would
grass,
say.
and we have a couple of departments like buildings and grounds. We're really shorthanded there, and the garbage pickup is shorthanded, but number one is, it's safety factor. Like the back of the garbage truck, we had somebody fall off,
Okay.
so we can't be responsible a lot. I mean, it depends on the age. If they're in over 20, they
Okay.
might think a little, but these 16-year-olds and, they're on this all day long, and
and that's a stipulation that if there is an agreement that you put into place, and we do have insurance on any participant that is through our office. If he just calls up and says, I have community service, and you guys accept him, he's not through our program, we're not reliable. But if he is through my service, he will have a timesheet. You will know he is through me. And I usually have good contact with the site supervisor. It wouldn't just be going through Joe, hey, are you doing your service? Yup. And then him, I will ask, I will contact, like I talked to Melissa, who is the court clerk. She'll call me up and say, hey, has he been doing his community service? What is he doing? And the most recent one is like, he didn't even contact me yet. His service, he got 2 extensions. He didn't even call me. to even set it up.
Well, the
So
guy
it
that you talked
depends
to from
on-
Buildings and Grounds was one of the ones responsible, these guys.
No, I'm saying the
They-
participant who got the community service didn't even call me, got two extensions. So there again, he didn't really care. It really didn't matter to
How
him.
do,
But I do have people who care that want to get it done.
how do you match up the individuals with a job?
I meet with them first. So if that's all part of it. They come to my office, I do an intake, I get their information, I get their workload. What do they do? Are they stay-at-home mom? They have no job. They
What about
have
their
no
skills?
education. Their skills, I write down everything.
You said insurance is all picked up for you when they're working here.
Yep, we have an insurance policy. So that was all set in that email packet. I do have a packet with me, but I don't have enough to hand out to everyone, but I do have that.
I got it.
And it was,
So that's the only problem. I mean, they probably sometimes, we'd love to turn a kid around. That's my goal too. I love it. But sometimes today's world, it's tough. We don't have the time, and
I have to
don't know.
say, my biggest participant right now is through DWI, and it's not just youngsters. It's been 50-year-olds. My last 10 people in my office were over 30 and between 30 and 57 for a DWI, getting lowered to a DWI, DWAI, or getting expunged altogether if they completed 24 hours of community service. So it's just not youngsters. And we do have in place, obviously, the Child Labor Act. I have cemeteries, but I can't send them unless they're like 18, so they can ride the
Ride the
lawn, ride
That's
and
the other problem.
mower and,
How long are the sentences typically?
24 hours, DWI, depending, maybe up to 50. Some people through drug court will get 100 hours. A typical DWI, 24 hours.
That's 3 days work.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's kind of hard to train
just tough,
somebody in 3 days.
Yeah, it's tough. By the time you get them to understand what you got to do, the day's over already.
I know it,
Who
exactly.
pays them?
I'm sorry,
Who pays them?
It's community service.
it's community
They
service.
don't get anything.
No,
They
not
get nothing. No,
It's
No.
part of their sentence.
it's part of their sentence for their crime to get expunged, lowered from a DWI to a DWAI.
Supervisor.
Well,
Randall-
I'll tell you what we'll do. If
I'd like to talk to Rick and
Yeah. I was
Ron
just gonna
about it.
say that. I like to speak to, because that's where we would need them most in buildings and grounds, because DPW, it's big equipment, they're out there, and they have to be here at 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes when they don't show up, the guys have to go out and then somebody else has to come back and pick them up.
Yep.
It gets into a hassle. We went through it about 6, 8, 10 years ago. But we'll get with the buildings grounds, see if they want to give them a shot.
And even the fire department, you'll get back to me if they're allowed to do
Well,
it
that,
there.
I'll let the fire department do that.
Yeah,
That's-
they're an organization.
Well,
on
they
their own.
told me, I should. be
Well, they're
needed to
there.
Ask kids,
The gentleman you were talking to, Greg Novotarski, he's the chief.
right, okay,
Mike Fazio is a member of the department.
okay,
Okay, so that's how Mike got involved because he sits here normally.
right,
Okay, but we're totally two different entities.
okay.
What jobs were they given in the past? When we did use them? Gene?
Oh, cutting grass.
Could we use
Exactly.
them? Could we use them? I spent almost 33 years as a corrections officer in the state.
Yeah, we had them painting.
Hey, and I-
We've
and-
had a couple in the office too.
Maximum security, and the most we can do,
Back
keep a young kid or so someone who made a mistake, I'm 110% behind you. You
Fantastic,
don't want to send them there.
right,
I've lived that life. Even if it's, maybe we can come up something that's no quick garbage, there's plenty of garbage everywhere.
But
That is
then
just sitting
again,
there.
Somebody says.
What do you
in
do?
the
Beer
paper,
cans.
They don't want to be responsible, they don't want to babysit them, they don't want to be responsible. But you have to think that second chance is so,
I'd like to see us find something they could do.
come on.
What about the senior kitchen? Do they?
I'd like to see them out picking up garbage. That's one thing I could see they could do, and it's low impact, there's no power tools, there's a bag and a picker.
Yep.
Get it done. Give them a section to do, get it done, or
That's what
don't
my
come
guy in
back.
Queensbury
Don't
does.
come back.
Rich is like, you do it here to here, and if you don't do it, then You don't get a second chance. That's just it. You're done.
No, they're on their way potentially to life and corrections, and they better get used to being told what to do. Pick it
Hey,
up
I-
or don't do
Or
it.
don't.
Those rules
That's
are
your
set
choice.
out, yeah.
Give us a couple of days.
That's your chance.
Great presentation, and we'll have somebody get back to you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you, everybody.
Thank
Now,
you.
the kid that, the
Thank you
kid
for
that's on the bicycle, what, you say he lives in town, how old is he?
Oh, 19, 20.
All right.
Yeah, he worked at the camp that just closed down for maintenance. So it came in. He rides his bike from Lake Ave Trailer Park. all the way to the border. And I tried to give him that Maxfield community
Yeah.
pantry, who said they needed help, and nobody returned his phone call.
Yeah, well, it's, like you say, somebody for 3 days, it's as much as we'd love to help them, and feel like these guys, they just don't, 3 days and they're gone, so it's tough.
But
All
not
right.
everybody's.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
What are you doing up again?
Regarding what this young lady's talking about, we went through this when we did the community center here.
I know, Fred, that's what I'm talking
First
about.
thing they wound up coming here, like 6 of them with 6 different taxis. They don't have their transportation and the county pays for the taxi for them to get here. All right? Then when you give them a job, they say, we don't do that.
Oh,
All right? Yeah.
Fred,
Then you gotta
Fred,
watch
you're-
every tool you got because the guy was a thief. Forget about these kids.
no, they can steal
I mean,
garbage.
well, I don't
Want to steal the
work in-
garbage, take it back with them. They can pick garbage up, then they can steal that
Yeah,
back home and
let
get out of
them
the
work in
town.
county. Don't let them work in the county building, not in Wakefield Zone.
Thank you, Fred.
They were a waste of time and money.
Thank you, Fred.
All right, let's move on. I'll get back to we'll go to the town clerk. Otherwise, we're gonna be here.
Okay, we've given you our monthly clerk report. And local shares totaled $7,505.50.
Put them in the wrong place.
I also copied you on an email that I sent back to Ashley Rivers from Warren County Emergency Management. Supervisor Merlino and I filled out the cooling center location form. And
That was the cooling thing that we.
for
Yeah,
the cooling center, and I believe she responded back and you all got a copy of that email from her. Okay, Tracy Clothier is asking to use the boardroom on August 9th and 23rd. And those nights are available, so I let her know that.
there you go,
And-
Chris.
And she's asking about Chris. Are you available? Okay, or Janie. Okay, so we'll let her know that. And we are having an issue with email. So with emails. We're trying to get to the bottom of it. Our website manager, Jamie. I was on the phone with her for quite a while this morning. She thinks it's a Gmail, Google issue. Colleen was speaking with our tech person, Chris LaFountain. He's trying to figure it out. Some people are getting the mail, some people aren't, and it's mainly people that have Gmail. So that's that is the reason why the agenda did not get up until today. It was sent to Jamie on Friday. Minutes were sent to Jamie on Friday. And she never received them. So,
I can attest that I've been having the same issue. I had sent a notice to Jamie on Thursday and it never got posted because she didn't receive it apparently. I also have one person that's doing a variance request and we were trying to email back and forth. He was not getting my emails. He eventually sent me an email. I responded to that because it came through. I responded to it. He never got the response. They're all Gmail accounts. And I then contacted today some of the members of my zoning board because I've sent out 3 to 4 different messages in the last couple of days. And some of them have gotten some of them. And some have gotten none. So it's very sporadic, whatever the issue is, but it does seem to be the Gmail
Mostly the Gmail
addresses
people.
where the issue is.
And we did some test emails today. I even sent myself, I have a Gmail account for my personal email, and I sent it from my Spectrum, what we use here. I didn't get the test email on my Gmail account. We sent some tests to Jamie. She didn't get those. She sent stuff to us. We did receive it from her Gmail account, but she didn't get it from ours to her Gmail account. So it's, we don't know what the issue is. We're not the techie people.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we have people looking into it, and Jamie is one of them that's trying to help find out what the problem is.
Google issue maybe.
All
That's
right.
what she's thinking, Google Gmail stuff.
Yeah, one thing that would help a little bit is, and you're pretty good at it, you're not quite so good. If you get an email,
How do you know?
if you get an email, respond, even if it's just, I got it.
Well, I know you, Tim, you do that a lot. I
Yeah,
see you,
speaking of that,
You return every
I'm
time.
not real good at it, and I admit. it.
I
try
don't,
to be.
because I just don't have the time sometimes, but it's not.
speaking of responding to emails, Cindy and I were talking today in the office, and we would really appreciate it when we send you guys stuff. Hey, thank you, we got it, or even just, I got it. But nobody ever responds, hardly ever. So,
I'll do a better job at that.
no,
No,
it
you
it
do a
helps
good
us
job.
because then we.
I,
have to
them, I
backtrack.
usually don't,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that.
You know, I mean, we
Would
usually have to
you-
backtrack, and it takes time out of our other work to figure out who's gotten stuff and who hasn't.
Especially now.
I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, with all this going on, it might not be a bad idea for you guys to stop in and check your boxes in the office, or call us and say, do I have anything in my box? You don't have to necessarily stop. We can say yes or no. That would save you a trip. But
I've been having
it
an issue with
takes-
my hours of work. It's way past you guys are open, but what I will do, we should all respond to every email that you guys
we
send.
would appreciate
And if
that.
we don't get one from somebody, then we got a problem there.
Yeah,
Then we'll
we would
test it.
appreciate that very much.
Okay,
And if there's stuff in your box and you want it, we can put it in an envelope and leave it outside the door for after work hours.
that'd be great.
We've done that all during COVID for people. I mean,
Okay.
so, but
Thank
that would be great if you guys could do that.
Anything else, Laurie?
That's it.
All right. Mr. Attorney, you're next.
The only thing that I'd say there's two issues or 2 points on the short-term rental discussion. The first is from the agenda meeting, the question of would a short-term rental fall into the definition of a hotel motel? My opinion, under our current definition, no, it would not. The second thing is, I believe at some point you might be receiving some comments from a resident in the town of Queensbury who's been dealing with short-term rental issues. And just wanted to bring to your attention that our firm represents that person in litigation regarding short-term rentals. So just so that, there's no,
Conflict.
just want to bring that to your attention.
All right. Well, in my report, I'm going to ask for a meeting for Monday, this next Monday, and get this short-term rental moving again. So we're trying to keep everything on Monday nights. It seems like that's when everybody's pretty much lined up. All right. Can you let me get through this first and we'll let you do it? All right. I know you don't want to sit here all night, but we have a few more things to do and then I'll give you plenty of time. All right, you're done.
Yes.
All right. Councilman Hanlon,
I have nothing to report this time.
Councilman Lewandowski,
We're good.
Mr. Niles.
Yeah, I got some stuff, but it's mostly just announcements, okay? In regard to the deputy CEO candidates and the constable candidates, I think we need to talk about pay. We've offered that job to each one of those jobs to a person and at the last minute they backed out for whatever reason. So I think we need to revisit what we're gonna do about that. Short-term rentals, you already talked about. Quick notice over on the table is a little flyer. The Lake Luzerne Association is doing a talk on Thursday at the library about milfoil in the lake and the history of dealing with that. I've seen the talk. They presented the talk at a conference back in April. It's worth it if you're concerned about our lakes around here to hear what's going on and what's not going on. Came up briefly earlier, tomorrow, the Town Advisory Committee, which is the group doing the revised master plan, has a meeting. And they're having a public meeting on August 23rd. That'll be the first public meeting, right? First public meeting that committee is going to, I assume, sit down with the public, tell us what they've got done so far, and probably look for feedback. Last meeting, we approved to work on a grant for our water system. The state has changed the scope a little bit. Yeah, and now they want to have us identify each lead pipe service entrance to a house, but they're willing to kind of make that part of the grant. So we're going to continue and hope we can get money for that. That meeting was today, by the way. And we sort of, without committing any money, we sort of decided that we want to go ahead and try again for the large grant that we were turned down on back in June, so we can work on that over the winter. Have some ideas as to why we were turned down, and that's some stuff we can deal with. And I'm going to remind you again, please excuse me for this. My wife works at the food pantry and they're doing a fundraiser right now. And so far that's going really good, but they're a little tight on money right now because of increased participation, decrease in funding from the state, and increase in costs. That's it.
Very good.
Going back, excuse me, Gene, I did forget one thing. I was talking to a couple of the other councilmen and looking at their views in regards to when we're looking for. I'm sorry. How's that? That when we're on our website, to put a thing called a splash in when somebody comes up on our website, when we're looking to hire somebody, to direct them to go to a certain part of our website for employment. A lot of people, they turn on and they don't realize that we are looking unless they are searching through our website and everything. And all it does is come up, just a little splash, employment needed, looking for somebody. And then it clears and it goes right back down, something like that. And I was wondering if you guys would like to put that on the site that way.
I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah,
If it helps out,
Okay.
Puts it out there.
get it done. It don't cost us anything, I don't think.
Yeah.
That way we can
That's
get,
something Jamie can handle.
Jamie can handle it.
All
I
right,
talked with Mike.
Can I ask a question?
go ahead.
Yeah.
In regards to that, when I was doing the website, I would put those types of things up on the top, front and foremost, where you wouldn't have to do that, but I mean, I don't know what the difference would be, other than you wouldn't have to click on something to go someplace else. It'd be up right, one of the first things.
Well,
you
the
would
way it was
see.
being explained to me, and maybe you possibly can talk with Jamie on this situation. All it was like where it said the town of Lake Luzerne, yada, yada, like a flash notice saying, looking for CDL driver.
Mhm.
Okay,
But then it goes away, you said.
no,
Oh,
check
oh,
employment,
I see.
that just help get it out there and
Okay.
then, tell them where to go on our website to look.
Yeah, because honestly, we get a lot of people saying they can't find stuff on the website, to be honest with you. And sometimes you do have to look around.
Yeah,
and search
Yeah,
for
I
stuff
would
the way
agree.
it's set up.
so if we can possibly get this for when we're looking for employees, it might help. Or something comes up, water main break,
I'll leave that between you guys.
water
and
main
her.
break, and we gotta, take care of a water advisory. You know what I'm saying? It just hits quick.
Yeah, it's kind of a pop.
Yeah. Grab your eyes.
Technology is getting there.
Yeah.
Beyond my.
All right, yeah, okay, if you're done, Paul, thank you.
Yep.
All right, first thing I have, we talked about a food truck 2 weeks ago and it kind of was decided to not do it because it's such short notice and the $50 a night didn't sit well. And we were trying to figure something out. So we're working on so that we can start this in September. And we're working with them for September and October, in September and October. And we'll have some information so we can work it out and start it next year, 2023. And have it one night a week for, I think it's 6 nights. But we're working on all that and we'll get you the information. The engineering report you already talked about. Resolution EMS squad we took care of. Sherman Road. We got a lot of foils and it's gonna take some time to try to find that stuff, but we're gonna work on it. The other thing, and I hate to keep harping on it, I sent all you guys all this here paperwork 2 weeks ago on trucks.
Yep.
Nothing that I just went around looking at trucks and put them on, made the people give me paperwork. We gotta get a truck for the buildings and grounds,
Get
one,
2 of 'em.
maybe 2. So and we've been kicking this around for 3 months. We're really in trouble for that. I'd like to really work on that. Maybe next week we talk.
Are
about-
these vehicles that from this company available?
All this stuff is,
Well, they definitely meet the criteria we've been talking about.
yeah, well, there's some that don't, they're just plain trucks here, but just to give you an idea how they cost, much they cost. They're getting just even a 3-year-old truck, you're talking 40 grand.
Well, this one you got on the front page is a 2022. Okay,
Mhm.
6.2. 350. The whole 9 yards for 47,890.
890, yep. But I don't know how,
that's
and I don't
brand
want to, I don't want to debate it with our attorney.
It's brand
but
new.
I
don't
know.
wanna- No, it's
You
cheap.
can't buy a used truck for that.
I know.
But,
I bet you I've got
my
10
point-
hours on the internet.
Yeah, that's right, you called me last week.
Okay.
Yeah,
And one company says, yep, I got on the website 2 of them. And I called them and I said, well, what can you tell me about them? Well, they're coming in, but they're already sold. And I'm saying, okay, so when's the next batch? She says 8 months.
that's what we're finding.
Why are you putting it on your website?
Well,
We don't do it,
most of these are trucks that are on the lot. And I had them
see.
print out what it is. I mean,
I say we ought to jump on to that.
but here's one for a 2022, but a lot of them are 110s. They don't have 3/4 ton trucks. They're tough to find. That's what we really need.
But this is a 1-ton truck, a 350 for 4750.
Yeah, you want to have at least a 250 if you're going to put a plow on.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 350.
Well, there's, if you look through there, here's another one, but it's $68,380.
Well, that's like buying,
New.
but this is Gene, the whole thing is, if you look at this is a work truck. It's a 2-door truck,
8-foot bed.
okay, 8-foot bed, nothing, no lariat package like some other people got. It's a stripped down, nice little truck for what they need it for. It's got heat in it,
Our
air
problem is
conditioning.
We can't pull the trigger. You
Well,
know,
and my whole thing is, I know I'm not debating our attorney, but how do you bid out a used truck?
Huh?
It's just impossible to bid a used truck out. It's impossible. And these ones you gotta go look at on the lot, like this one here, this is 2019, but it's a 150, but I had them printed out.
did you see this, Logan?
What?
Is that a match to what you guys,
I haven't seen it, so.
it's,
All right, I just want you guys to look at it. Let's not, we're
Yeah.
going.
Well, we gotta quit looking, we gotta write it
well,
up.
what we need to do is revise our purchasing policy. The auditor suggested that.
It's not matching the times right now. It's obviously
Yeah.
hindering us, it's handicapping us.
Yeah.
I think everybody.
Yeah.
All right, so at least there's some out there on lot, so we can go up and just say, we're gonna buy it. And I don't know how you work that out.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I know, that's what you're telling me.
That's the
So how
problem.
do we get a
You
truck?
can solicit for the bids and you can send them. You can find a truck that meets all your criteria and you can send them the same advertisement that you put out.
And
for
we did
everybody
that 2
else.
months ago and didn't get one return on the truck that we had sitting on a lot waiting
What
for
I'm saying,
us.
you can send it directly to the dealer who has the vehicle, just as long as you're also advertising it to the
right.
general public.
Well, what we need to do is get Fred to buy it. And tell him we'll buy it off him in 6 months after we get done doing the paperwork.
1 week.
That's what happened. We lost the other truck because they didn't want to wait that
It's
long.
outdated,
for
the
us to
whole
bid it out.
procurement policy, it's all
All right.
outdated.
That's something. I had Tracy on, give her you already gave
Get
Tracy.
it drawn up and get it out.
And I just want to propose a meeting for next Monday night at 7 o'clock where I wrote it up as using short-term rental and whatever may come in front of the board next week.
I think the short-term rental thing,
It's gotta be-
somebody should take what we learned in the meeting last time
Put
and
it all,
boil it down.
that's what we should, gotta do.
Lori, what's the date on that?
Stuff.
Be the 15th.
Huh?
The 15th, is that at 7 PM?
15 at 7. I got the 8:15.
August 15th?
You, I'm all right. You guys all right with that?
All right, so we'll put that on the internet. Anybody
7
wants to
o'clock.
come. All right, and that's about all I have. Oh, wait, I got one. Don't get me confused. Paperwork. Okay. Oh, here it is. The county has put into effect a reporting system for storm drain problems. That if, while the storm is coming up and just not just always worry about road department getting to find out about it, you can email the county. And Colleen has all this information and report a drain plug and that's on the road, an everyday citizen. We don't know how it's gonna work, but they're trying but they don't want to use it as, make sure don't use it as a 911. A report of anything, a road problem, drainage problem, stuff like that. So I'm just bringing that up. All right, that's all I have. And now let's go with you, sir, first.
Dick Rudenko, 24 Davern Drive, Lake Luzerne. I'm addressing this letter to you today. Further evidence that any non-owner occupied short-term rental located in the zone of Hamlet residential in the town of Lake Luzerne is prohibited use per the Lake Luzerne zoning use table. Warren County Treasurer Michael Swan confirmed that the town of Lake Luzerne receives a base payment of $30,000 per year from Warren County occupancy tax revenues. The town also receives an additional payment from the county comprised of 25% of occupancy taxes collected specifically from Lake Luzerne hotels and motels, which includes short-term rentals. According to the Warren County occupancy tax laws of 2018, short-term rentals are defined as hotels and motels and also deemed businesses. On May 11, 2020, in Resolution 46, the Lake Luzerne Town Boards voted unanimously to accept the agreed upon 25% additional payment from Warren County specifically generated from Lake Luzerne hotels and motels occupancy tax. By acceptance of this occupancy tax revenue from the county, the town of Lake Luzerne is effectively acknowledging that short-term rentals are a business under the classification of hotels and motels. The Hamlet residential zone in Lake Luzerne does not allow hotels and motels as permitted uses. Thus, any non-owner occupied short-term rental in these zones are an illegal use of Warren County and Town of Lake Luzerne statutes. See, everybody's tied in with Warren County. There's a string attached. We get money from them. The rental that we have, they have laws there. If a short-term owner person does not remit, I talked to Michael that there's a law that they will send a letter. And if it's not responsive to the letter, then the lawyer, the county lawyer will address them with a notice. And if that's not effective, they will take them to court. My point is, there's an intertwine with the short-term rental, paying head tax, we getting a cut of and everything else. Now, counselor seems to think that's not a short-term rental.
Well, I mean, I understand, now before you speak, I understand what you're saying. It is intertwined. What we're trying to do here is not stop that,
No,
but to make it safer. And for the neighbors, we can't stop it totally. We can't tell them they
not
can't
talking
be in
about
it.
stopping it, Gene, but this is in Hamlet residential area. This is where families come, they want to settle with the kids and all. We have megas law to deal with on that. We have drugs that may be stopping points between here and Montreal. We have shootings in the nation. This is with families, if they come here, they have three choices. They have the commercial commercial residential, resort residential, and hamlet residential. As these like on our street, as these places come due, people pass away, get sold, LLCs pick them up. They pick them up like that because that is a gold mine for them. I talked to one of the fellows that run one of them, and he said, that's a license to print money that these people are getting. So it's very lucrative for them. So all of a sudden our street has become, no more families there, no more families there. So the point here is to put them where they belong. Allow them where they should be, but not in Hamlet residential. We have that in our usage here. They become hotel motel. Yes, it's a family dwelling, but it has become a hotel motel. They're in there turned over 1-2 days, maybe 3-4 groups of people a week. They don't belong there. That's the law.
That's our own law,
Yes, that's our law.
but a lot,
Is that
It's a
fact,
gray
Michael?
area, and
What Mike is in regards to residential hamlet, is that a fact? I know
Well-
I think you were gonna check into that, maybe not, maybe I'm not here.
The usage for the hamlet residential. I'm not saying that, what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that short-term rentals should be allowed or not allowed or somehow limited or regulated. All I'm saying is by reading the town's zoning code definition for hotel motel and comparing that to short-term rental, my opinion is that a short-term rental doesn't fall within the hotel motel classification. It's possible that it could fall within some other classifications within the zoning code, bed and breakfast, inn, but I don't believe that it would fall within the hotel motel classification.
Will you be here on Monday with us, this coming Monday?
I'd have to check my calendar. I don't know if I can make
Okay.
it on Monday.
Could that be definitely verified that residential hamlet is so stated that in Warren County? that-
Well, I'd say the Warren County tax definition for occupancy tax
It's,
could include short-term rentals. But that doesn't change the definition in the Lake Luzerne zoning code
Right.
for what's a hotel motel. So there could be an interconnection, but it doesn't redefine what the town has defined a hotel to be.
So the only way that we can prove this out or get it straightened out is write a resolution stating such and such, such and such. correct?
This would be a local law. This would
A
be required
local law.
local law, yeah.
Okay.
there's another issue at stake here. And Patricia, can I put you on the spot? Has the TAC discussed the zoning? Okay. Some towns have discussed limiting short-term rentals to a specific zone. And to my knowledge, no towns around here have done that. I don't think any of them have done it. I might be wrong. Because they were able successfully to make them palatable, I'll use that word, by putting a bunch of regulations on them to try and minimize or avoid the types of problems you're talking about. But
You might
I
wanna
think
check
from
with Lake
what I've
George
studied
Village.
is that no
Jim.
town so far.
You might want to check with Lake George Village on that. I think they're the only one that has regulated where they can go.
They set up a zone for it.
I believe so.
Yeah.
You'd have to check Lake George Village.
I've gotten through probably,
Yeah, I got town of Lake George. I don't have the village one.
Well, the town oversees the village.
Okay.
So you talk to the town and they'll have the answer for you. But the only reason I say that is I talked to Tom McKinney from the county building codes. He lives in the village. And he was saying to me something about the streets where he lives. His house can't be a short-term rental because it's on an alley that connects with something else. And so it's something somewhere. They have something written up to limit where they are. But I don't know what it is. And as far as what Mr. Burdanko is saying, just to clarify, our zoning ordinance use table under Hamlet residential, the column for Hamlet residential does not allow hotel motels in Hamlet residential areas. However, and I stated this at the other meeting, when the Warren County Building Codes, if they are the ones that are going to come in and do this property maintenance inspection, they look at these short-term rentals as single-family homes, the same as if you owned a single-family home and rented it out for a month or a week. They're still considered single-family homes. Under Hamlet residential column, single-family homes are allowed. So that's where we wanted clarification as to whether these short-term rentals are considered hotel motels or not, or what are they considered, and that's I'm understanding where Mr. Crow said that they, under our definitions in our book, most of these short-term rentals are single-family homes, correct? That is your conclusion under our ordinance, the definitions that we have in
Right.
our ordinance
It
right
doesn't
now.
fall within hotel motel.
Right.
That's-
Then maybe what we have to do in the future is to see a way that we maintain that residential area. Not just there, but on the heights and around middle school and any place else to maintain that. Because once those houses are sold, the people die, they're being snapped right up. And we
Oh,
won't have
yeah.
any residential area anymore.
Yeah,
You
you're,
know, my friends down, I might help him mow the lawn, you know, because he's ill. This guy comes over here, he helps me out because I have an illness problem. You know, this is all neighbors. Now it's a black void in these little spots. We don't know who they are. You know, we're waiting for the second shoe to drop. That bad. So,
yeah,
thank you.
Well, we all 100% agree with you, but right now what's happening, it's been happening because they're not classified right, and they're
that's-
doing it,
That's what.
but you
that's what our
can't
heads
stop them
together-
from
that's
doing
what
it,
our
but
heads
you can
together
regulate them.
and eliminate that.
yeah.
Please.
This is where it all comes in, Gene. I don't know how much of the stuff you got through that was given to us the end of this past week. Okay, I've got about 75% of it through. And there's a lot of things that we probably ought to take a serious look at when we continue to go forward with this Class B stuff. Or I mean, Class B, the short-term rentals, excuse me.
But I have a bed and breakfast. I'm here 38 years, but I had to get cleared by the zoning and change my title. I'm allowed in it in the Hamlet residential. That's what I'm in now. But back then, I had to come up from New Jersey 5 times to go to meetings to convince them what I was doing. And but today it's not, it's done before you even know it's done. You know, so, all right. Thank you for your time, Stan.
Stan Goldberg. You're talking about the advertising for jobs on the, well, I'm not looking for a job.
You're not hired anyway.
Thank you very much. Question, who's the liaison? I shouldn't ask it. It's our Mr. Fazio, obviously, to our tech support person. How many hits per month does that website get? Anybody know?
Well,
At the present time, no, Stanley.
no, we haven't gotten a
That's it.
report. We
Okay.
should get, you're right.
Yeah. In the wind, you know that expression, in the wind? There's another word in the front of it. Do you advertise anywhere else or is it only on the website?
For help, you mean?
Yeah,
We put the signs up on our reader boards here in town. We have.
but you're only looking for Lake Luzerne residents for your jobs?
Not actually.
Not necessarily.
The whole thing is, once you go into the newspapers and thing that, the cost for an ad in a newspaper for help wanted, where it used to be relatively inexpensive, is relatively ridiculous now.
So how many, okay, we don't know the number of hits per month and who's looking at the website, which you absolutely should. And there's a way of doing that. And there's a way of also knowing where these hits are coming from, unless somebody has a way of getting around that. In other words, is it coming from this area? How many people have contacted you for this job in the last month, 2 months?
We've had. some
For,
people
well,
come
for,
in.
you're talking constable and assistant CEO? What jobs?
Well, you said that you had an open job. Or
Well, we have 2.
you have 2,
You have
but
more
how
than
many
2.
people have contacted you because of the website?
But your answer is, I don't know how many, but people do come in. Today, somebody walked in, a gentleman, and I heard Cindy says, well, he wanted a job, looking for a job. Cindy got him an application. I walked over and the first question, he was CDL driver. That helps a lot. And he said he wasn't. But
He
was gonna
didn't
fill out the
CDL.
application, but I didn't ask him how he got here.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that something's being dropped there, you know, that you don't know if the website's being used. You need to know that, you know.
I know it's being used for people to watch us on this stuff here and try to get our meeting minutes read and resolutions coming up. I know there are people watch it. How much, I can't tell you.
Okay, just wanted to point that out. It's an important thing to know, you know, what's going on out there.
Well, we can ask for a report.
Okay, you should have got it monthly.
All right,
Thank you, Stan.
Anybody else?
Hi there, Barb Veneris. I wanted to point out, Mr. Niles, in the packet that I gave you, there's an article that talks about Lake George backpedaling on their regulations.
Yeah, they're putting a hold on the
Yeah, and
permits.
right, and Bolton just came out with this in the Lake George Mirror in this fresh edition. I'm gonna give this to Mrs. Putney. I didn't make copies this time, Mrs. Putney. But I'm just gonna read from this, if I may, for a second. Says basically the supervisor, Ron Conover, said, basically the rules we adopted regarding short-term rentals represented an effort to regulate but not prohibit short-term rentals in residential areas, which the zoning code is designed to protect. Bolton's regulations are unrelated to specific land use zones. As a result, they are ill-equipped to protect residential neighborhoods from investors buying homes for strictly commercial purposes. We have assets such as the school, churches, and civil boards to protect, which is why the town board originally voted to regulate short-term rentals over the objections of a lot of people, said Conover. Short-term rentals tend to affect the supply of housing for families, in part because investors have the resources to outbid working families searching for year-round homes. Is the change of occupancy of housing units in any community a potential issue? And the answer is, of course, said Conover. I think it is very possible that we may make adjustments to our rules, and we will do it in a way that serves the best interests of the community. I will hand this to Mrs. Putney.
Thank you.
Anybody else in here? I have neglected the people out patiently waiting. Anybody in the audience would like to speak to us? Nope, no hands? Okay. Nobody in the audience. How about a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
No, you can.
We can just say,
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. You guys say all in favor?
Okay.
We're adjourned. Thank you all for coming and sitting. What's going on?
Hey, we gotta take a ride. Sure.
I don't really know.